This is the EVP Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the EVP Podcast. I'm Ghosty McGhostface, and to my right I have...
I'm Beaker.
And I'm Devio. And
Did I do that wrong? Am I supposed to... I'm Beaker.
I don't know. Now you did it wrong.
Why is everyone going like deep voices?
Because I want people to know it's me.
I want everyone to know how spooky this is. It's Ghosty here, and Ghosty don't play that.
All right, we'll see how often I can do my radio voice. Long? Let's see how long I can do my radio voice. Not very good.
I hope it's long.
They used to call me Long Bob Johnson.
Ooh. Sounds like someone with a beard. Well, everybody, today we are going to talk about Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Oh, all right.
I'm slightly turned on.
You should be.
Can I interrupt first, though?
Sure, go ahead.
Why?
So last week, I like to bring it back every episode, apparently.
Sure should do.
Because I think it happens interesting.
You like to time travel.
So we talked about the movie Heart and Souls. Again, I hope you guys watched it. Great movie. And
you had a week to watch it.
Yeah, a whole week to watch it. Plenty of time.
Wait, we're supposed to watch that?
For enjoyment, yes. And anyway, so I got very curious about the cast of the movie, and I thought, where are they now, right? So I looked it up, and people don't know this, but we record on Sundays, and we publish the episode the next day, or actually within hours.
Sometimes.
Actually, it's within hours, but
Unless you're watching on YouTube, then it's usually the next day or the day after.
That's true, but we start like maybe 11:30 at night on Sunday, so it's about 1 in the morning Monday when we actually publish the episode. But I was looking. And so we recorded last Sunday, May 23rd, and I was looking at one of the actors from the Heart and Souls, which is Charles Grodin. So he's been in multiple movies. You'd recognize him from Midnight Run, The Heartbreak Kid, but probably and obviously Heart and Souls, but most notably the father in the Beethoven movies with the Saint Bernard, from what movie? 1992.
You mean the dog's not called a Beethoven?
No.
Oh my God.
It's not a Beethoven dog. So the father in that movie, Charles Grodin, he actually passed away on May 18th. So just a few days before 5 days before we recorded the episode and talked about it, he actually passed away. So I thought that was interesting. And
I'm blaming you.
And rest in peace, Mr. Grodin.
I think I did see something about that in the news, but didn't even...
I did not.
I didn't either. So I was looking like, wait, May 18th, 2021. That was 5 days ago. Like, oh, damn. All right. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I still do want to watch that movie again. I haven't seen it since the 90s.
Which one, Beethoven or Heart and Souls?
Heart and Souls. I could go without watching Beethoven.
I could pass on Beethoven.
Yeah. I'd like to just leave that.
It was interesting to watch in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I don't care to watch that again. Heart and Souls, though, still good. Still good. Actually, we actually lost another Utah figure here recently, Mr. Mark Eaton.
One of the few people I've come across that makes me look small.
That's true, because how tall are you, Beaker?
I'm 6'5".
And he was 7'4", is that right?
Yeah,
7'4"?
something like
He
that.
was massive.
Yeah, so he's about
When
a foot taller.
I met him, I was working at Sports Authority. He came in to return a paintball gun. And
interesting.
I barely came up to this dude's shoulders. Like, he had to duck to get into the building.
So
he was taller than the doors.
With you being, how tall again you said?
6'5".
6'5", so you're used to looking down at people.
Yeah.
What's it like to actually look up to someone?
So he was the first person that ever made me nervous because I'd never met someone that much taller than me. Like, I had met people that were like, 6'6", 6'7", only an inch or two. But he's like damn near a foot taller than me.
Wow.
And I actually I pointed him towards the direction of the paintball guns. And then I went and hid and made the little 5'3" cashier help him.
Because the 5'3" person was used to looking up at people.
Yeah. She was used to it. So.
That's the first time you cowered.
Pretty much. I was like, whoa. If you guys ever meet our friend Oliver, he's 7'1". He's another one that makes me look small.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you guys get so tall?
The beard.
The beard?
It's the beard.
That's why I can't grow one.
Yeah, that's why.
Yep.
That's
it
very
all
short.
makes sense. Yep. I'm going to stay that way until I can grow a beard.
Short?
Yep.
Good luck.
I'm going to try.
So rest in peace also to the great Mark Eaton from the Utah Jazz.
R.I.P.
All right, now we can continue.
Oh, okay. back into
Back to the paranormal stuff.
Well, these guys are probably haunting in some places, somewhere.
Could be a movie set.
That's very possible.
The Delta Center.
I'm going to call the Delta Center anymore.
Well, it used to be when
Energy
Marquis was there.
Solutions. What is it now?
No,
Vivint
no,
Smart
Vivint.
Home Arena.
It's changed names so many times. It's the Delta Center.
It's always going to be the Delta Center.
Yeah. Yeah, it always will be. But the Jazz are doing awesome. I'm gonna try to go to some games. I'm super excited about the playoffs right now. The NBA playoffs.
They're pretty damn good right now.
Number one in the league.
So, anyways.
These guys are not sports guys, sorry.
Anyways.
I stopped watching the Jazz back in the 90s when they flopped 2 years in a row in the finals.
That hurts. Especially when they just revamped that whole Michael Jordan thing on, was it ESPN? Netflix?
When Michael Jordan was sick and he was still out there playing with the flu.
I don't believe it for a second.
No, what actually pissed me off about the Jazz is when they traded all my favorite players, which was Shannon Anderson, Howard Isley, and Antoine Carr.
Oh, yeah. I remember
The guys
all
that
those guys.
basically got him to the finals. They traded all of them, and I'm just like, screw you, I'm done. I haven't watched a Jazz game since.
I watched one recently in the playoffs, and it's been the first time in years since I watched a game. I'm like, oh, they made it to the playoffs. Maybe I'll watch. Oh, they're the best team in the league. I'm interested.
For now.
One day I'll get back into it.
It's all about football.
Maybe one day I'll get back into
Love me some foosball.
I don't watch football either.
I do. Because I'm a man.
Sports.
But you're a man. You make beef jerky.
I made beef jerky. I
Let's
smoked
see,
it.
Ghosty hasn't done anything manly in a while. He's low on tea.
I smoked it.
He's low on testosterone.
Until I'll catch up to you guys.
I smoked
One day
beef
I'll-
jerky. He probably smoked something else.
Yeah, true. And took testosterone shots.
Could have.
All right, the haunted Waverly Hills.
Okay, back to reality.
Oh, real quick. Just kidding.
Let's go back somewhere else. Let's go back 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Speaking
ago,
of 2 weeks
so-
ago. Just kidding.
So, anyways, what the hell are we talking about here? All right, we're talking about Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Ghosty's been there.
I actually have been there. yes.
Beaker, have you been there?
No, unfortunately, I had to work.
Ah.
I really wanted to go. There was some people we know that actually had the whole building to themselves and invited our previous team that we were on to go. And I believe Ghosty was supposed to go to that and missed it.
So that was the reason why I ended up just going by myself, anyways, because I ended up missing out on that, and so I ended up saying, "Screw it, I'm going to get my own ticket and go by myself."
Okay, so did you have to cancel your flight, or you just had to rearrange
No, I had
it?
a buddy pass. That was the
Okay.
stupidest thing ever. Never get a buddy pass. That was dumb.
Nope.
Hated it.
I did one buddy pass, and it was actually to go with our family with San Diego. Getting there was no problem. Coming back home was a big problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll never do a buddy pass ever again. It's not
Yep.
worth it
Yeah,
for me.
It was an experience that I thought, oh, this will be cool. I can get a discount by doing this. It was not worth the discount.
No, it's not
Totally
worth it.
not worth it. I probably would have only paid maybe an extra $100 and avoided all that stress and would have made the flights I was supposed to make. And yeah, I'll never go that route again.
Beaker, have you done a buddy pass before?
I've never been on a plane.
You just blew my mind.
Welcome to the future.
You've
This
never
is
been on a plane?
2021. This is what we're going to do from now on. We're going to fly.
Oh, I don't drive places anymore. I mean, maybe 2 hours I'll go. That's about it.
Oh, yeah, when I went to Vegas a couple weeks ago or a month ago now,
Nope.
I drove.
I fly 1 hour flight. I'm not driving 6 hours, 6 hours.
What about if it's over the Bermuda Triangle? You going to fly?
Save that for next week.
Ooh. I don't know. It's a sketchy little area. that
Yeah, I don't
Bermuda
know. I'll
Triangle.
just avoid that whole area.
Whatever. It's no big
You
deal.
really haven't been on a plane?
No.
Wow. I'm a little blown by that. Why
The
not? Are you
closest I've
scared?
been to the airport is
Pictures?
dropping people off and picking people up.
Oh my goodness. Why? Just because you're
I
scared?
don't
What?
travel.
Well, you need to travel.
Like the farthest I've traveled, so I've been to El Paso, drove.
You drove to El Paso.
Sure did.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is when you drive, if it's close enough to drive, like you've got a car, you don't have to rent a car, you don't have to worry about ride shares or any of that crap. You just
Speaking of driving, I'm about to drive cross country.
Because you're going
Tomorrow.
back to Tampa.
Yeah, going to help a friend move, and that is It's going to be excruciating. That's going to be the longest drive of my life, going from Florida to Utah. And, yeah.
So you're flying down there and then driving back?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So we're not recording next week.
No, we are. I'll be back.
That's such a long drive.
No.
It's like a 3-day drive.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5 days it's going to take.
I've looked into it before. I had a friend that was living in Florida. He was going to graduate from the Navy.
Nope. I don't do that anymore.
Well, I'm just going to help. I'm going to help, just ride along and keep them company. But, yeah, that's going to be the longest drive of my life.
That's crazy, Tom.
But maybe I should bring some equipment with me, and if I stop in a city that seems, if I have time for a ghost tour,
Do it. Yes. Take your stuff.
maybe I might stay in some weird ass hotel
a
that
ghost
has
tour.
Well, there
some.
you go. That's what you...
Stop in Louisville, which is an hour north of what we're going to be talking about here eventually.
Have you like made your plots where you're
No
where you're
shit,
staying?
right?
Have you already plotted out where you're staying?
I think St. Louis, and
Yeah, you need to
I
find
think
out.
Denver.
Yeah, you need to find out the haunted places in those towns.
Maybe. I gotta figure this out. I don't know yet.
Bobby Mackey's is about an hour north of Waverly.
Yeah, I just don't know if because driving a U-Haul and pulling a car, I don't know how much driving around town I want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, hopefully they got parking for 30 feet of shit.
That's funny.
Just go to Walmart.
So, anyways, Saint
Saying what?
St. Augustine's Chapel.
Saint Bernard dog.
St. Bernard's. Anyways, St. Bernard's.
Carry barrels around their necks.
See, I chose something that's actually a haunted place. You're talking about dogs.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Louisville, Kentucky. That place was a pretty damn cool town. I mean, I went and checked out the downtown area, did some touristy shit, but yeah, all those areas over there, there's a ton of haunted shit out there.
Why?
That place has been developed longer. There's been more death there. There's older buildings that more spirits have been hanging out at. And then you got places like the sanatorium that is just haunted as shit. Attracts more ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place probably had the most spirits in one place I've ever experienced.
Were you like spidey senses going into overload?
Yeah, it was. It really was. It's, I was seeing visual things, and I don't see things visually as much, really.
Okay.
And seeing things visually there was pretty trippy.
Okay. Interesting.
Like seeing the hallways. Because this building has been around, when was it?
Yeah, why don't you give a
1803?
little history about it?
Yeah, so this place was built in 1803. Am I right? 1883.
Well, the hospital itself was a little bit later. 1883 is when Major Thomas Hayes purchased the land,
Okay, 1883, yes.
and he built the one-room schoolhouse for his kids.
Yeah, so he built this school for his kids, which later changed into a hospital.
Yeah, so he hired a teacher. The reason that kind of a little bit where the name came from, he hired a teacher. Her name was Lizzie Lee Harris, and she had a set of novels that was her favorite books, and they were called the Waverly novels. So she called the school the Waverly School. Hayes really liked that name, so he ended up naming his property Waverly Hills, or Waverly Hill.
And what made them want to change it to a tuberculosis hospital?
So I believe the state acquired the property. And
It was because tuberculosis was becoming an epidemic.
Yeah, it was. So it was like 1908 is when they started constructing I believe it was just a 2-floor hospital at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for 40 to 50 patients.
Yeah, and they opened that on July 26 of 1910.
Well, what happened nearby in Ohio, there was an outbreak of TB, tuberculosis. And they think it was coming from down the river down into the Kentucky area. And it started spreading out there. And so they don't think the outbreak actually started in Ohio is what they were thinking.
Well, eventually that place ended up turning into getting filled with more than 140 people. And then they ended up having to make a bigger hospital.
Expand it, yeah. Expand it upward.
Yeah, they just had so many people coming in.
They ended up making their own little city.
Because once you went in there, you were quarantined.
You're there forever.
Yeah.
Once you're there, you're not ever gonna see.
They go. They got TB. Okay, take him to the sanatorium. All right, you're
forever.
not leaving.
Forever.
That was very common for tuberculosis centers throughout the country. Mm-hmm. It's just they turned it in their own little city. They had their own post office. Like the patients and the staff actually lived there at the hospital. The staff weren't allowed to leave either, but they would like grow their own crops and do their own farming and shit there.
I bet one thing that would have helped them would have been masks.
Oh,
only they had masks.
Yeah, surgical masks. And if they would have doubled up on them, you imagine the lives saved. Imagine all the lives saved.
No, but you know what did help?
What?
Putting them outside in the sun.
For vitamin D.
And fresh air.
Yep.
That's what cures tuberculosis. Not masks.
Along with a lot of other viruses.
We should have tried that with COVID. Just everyone go outside.
So because of that, there were hallways that were exposed airway hallways. So like you walk down these hallways, but it was completely open to the outside.
Yep. The best time is I think early in the morning. Get out in the sun. Great vitamin D.
And that's exactly where they pointed east. So they got the sunrise. And
there you go.
So the way that was, so people could just like walk down the hallways and just kind of be outside.
There you go.
And
didn't they have like little rooms specifically set up for that too?
I think so.
They could just sit there.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but it's like down long hallways, and then there were just like open areas that you could just kind of be in and just be outside, and it's almost just like a big balconies and everything.
Oh, and don't worry, it didn't matter what time of year it was. Summer, winter, spring, fall, you were outside. Getting that sun. I heard that they would put electric blankets on them, and apparently there's pictures of people like out in the snow wearing these electric blankets so they can get the sun, because the sun and the fresh air cured tuberculosis.
I mean, I've been in those situations where I'm in the sun and outside in the winter. It gets kind of warm sometimes. Ice fishing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not always that bad when you're just kind of, if you got warm clothes on and stuff, it's not too bad.
Well, like I said, they gave them electric blankets.
But yeah, those hallways like that are all lit up by the moonlight. So when you're doing the ghost tours there, you get to see, it's pretty bright looking down there, just being all lit up by the moon. And that is where I was seeing a shit ton of like shadow people coming back and forth across the hallways. And as you're looking down the hallways, you're seeing these sons of bitches just kind of walking out, coming back, or walking all the way across. They would like peer out. You know how the damn shadow people are always acting.
Like in my house.
Yeah.
Peeking out of my closet.
One of the podcasts that I was listening to this morning, they had the same experience.
Was it the Buko Boys podcast? they talked about this.
Yeah,
One of them had a similar experience too. What was his name? Like Dale or something?
Yeah, I think so.
it was uncanny. So I mean, I guess that's a common thing to see the shadow people, the shadow figures, like popping in and out of the doorways.
Well, there's one that's kind of famous called the Creeper.
And I think I did see that. If that was what it was, that was down the body chute.
Because what it was, the Creeper, aren't they known for like just getting like closer and closer and closer and closer in the darkness, just like a big shadow?
So let me tell you what the body chute is first.
Okay, the body chute.
So they have a body
go
chute.
down the chute. Let the bodies go down the chute.
Something, yeah, sure. So the body chute is made for. They put this in the back of the building because there were so many deaths happening that it was discouraging for the patients to see all these bodies getting taken away.
Okay, now explain it because when I hear body chute, I'm thinking there's just a big slippy slide of bodies going right down.
Shove them down a slide and they just end up in a pile outside.
Yes.
It's exactly what happened.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, it was like a long walkway where it was like this catwalk almost.
Was this steep? Because I also envision it very steep. Oh, it was steep. Okay.
It was steep.
What floor was it on?
The very bottom.
Okay, and then it went outside.
It went out the back of the building.
Okay.
So this long chute was this long catwalk that had kind of long steps on one side and then just a smooth ramp on the other side so they could wheel a gurney.
So basically, one person's in the front of the gurney, one person in the back of the gurney, holding it, walking down the steps, and it's going down the chute.
All to the side of the gurney, holding enough to the side so they can walk on the steps, and the gurney's going down the ramp.
Okay.
And goes to the bottom, and they would meet a vehicle there, and then load the body up, and then take it away, and none of the patients had to
I
see
heard
it.
that happened. Like they collected a few before they took off.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they collected a bunch.
Yeah, there's sometimes that they would like store them in their refrigerator.
Oh,
Yeah,
until
they
could
had
take them down the
yes,
chute.
they had so
for
many
the best freshness.
They had so many bodies that they were storing them in the fridge, in the kitchens and everything. There was bodies piled up in there.
This is all from TB.
Yes, a lot of
Okay.
tuberculosis going on. So
Well, not everybody was dying from tuberculosis. Some of them were dying from the weird ass like surgeries that
consumption.
were
They were dying from consumption.
too much alcohol. No, some of the surgeries that they were doing that they thought would
Experimental.
cure, pretty much.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like collapsing a lung, because the theory is like, well, tuberculosis needs oxygen to survive, so let's get rid
kill
of
it.
the oxygen, and then it will kill the tuberculosis, and then we'll reinflate the lung real quick.
Makes sense.
Some of the people, they would like remove ribs and part of their muscles. Like they did all sorts of weird experimental surgeries.
For science.
Science. a lot
Science,
of
bitch.
people died from the surgeries themselves and not the actual disease.
Well, they were probably going to die from the disease.
Probably.
But they were probably like, you know what? They were probably tired of the pain or the suffering, so they're probably like, just try it, see what it does.
Yeah, probably. Or they said, "Come in here, let me try something on you real quick."
You have no
Oh,
choice.
didn't I heard they also they would like cut them open and like shine a UV light on their lungs and stuff to try to kill the bacteria.
I never heard of that one. Interesting.
Wow.
They did weird shit.
Yeah, that's way nuts.
Because it's probably what, early 1900s there at this point, probably.
1920s or the
Yeah.
40s to the
1926-ish. Oh, so anyways, the body chute, that's what it was used for.
Okay.
And during the investigation, going to the body chute, I'm looking down the body chute, and what I keep seeing, I don't know if anyone else is seeing
And
this.
how long would you say this is?
Huh? The body chute?
Yeah. 100
Maybe a
yards?
quarter mile.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Guessing. Could be a little shorter, but I'm guessing maybe a quarter mile.
Yeah, this is probably dark. Okay, I got you.
So anyways, I keep seeing this thing lift it looks like a body with like a draped cloth over it almost, but all just shadow like. I see it kind of lift its head up in the middle of this ramp, like down maybe closer to the bottom, maybe a third of the way up the ramp.
Okay.
And I see it kind of like come up and then drop down. And I'm looking at it like, am I seeing this shit, or is there like shadows playing tricks with
Yeah.
my eyes?
And no one's down there.
No, nobody's down there. The
Can
bottom,
anyone go down there?
yeah, anyone can go down there. But
Okay.
at the bottom of the ramp, there is a chain link fence.
Okay.
And then beyond that chain link fence, there was something else with a tarp. The tarp, you can kind of see moving around down there. So as you kind of can hear something, hear it flapping, you can kind of see the shadows of it moving. And so you're wondering, is that causing any effect to what I'm seeing in the middle of this ramp?
Okay.
Trying to see different angles, or trying to eliminate that out of my view and what I'm seeing on the ramp. I see it again a couple other times. And I'm like, are you guys seeing this shit? And I don't think anyone else is seeing what I'm seeing.
Are they looking?
Yeah, they're all looking,
Okay.
and it kind of sounds like they are seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm not sure or not. Well, I see this thing come up again, and it lunges forward towards us. And I kind of jump back, and I was about to like take off running, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to run. And no one else reacted.
Interesting.
Nobody else reacted, and I kind of feel dumb because I you just made a reaction to something that no one else saw
Yeah.
and stuff. So I was like, damn, did I just see that? Like, it was tripping me out. But I don't know if that was the creeper, but that's right. That's what I saw in the body chute.
Interesting.
But that was pretty nuts. Some people went down there, and they brought lights with them as they walked down there. And when they passed that area, it kind of lit up, and I saw what was down there, and there was nothing, just completely empty. So I don't know what could have been coming up and down that I was seeing with my own eyes, but that was pretty nuts. And that was the body chute on the main floor.
Interesting. Okay.
On that main floor, there was a lot going on down there. There was multiple levels on this. I think there was five
Five now. Yeah.
floors. That first floor, I did get a lot of activity when we were doing the investigation. And one of the things I was getting on that main floor was the Ghost Meter Pro, which we've talked about before. And so we're not going to go over how that works again. If you don't know, go back and listen to some episodes. So anyways, using that device, connected with a spirit. And usually when you connect with a spirit, it doesn't last that long. Sometimes it's only a couple questions and it's gone. Sometimes you do get a full convo, but it's gone within maybe 5 to 10 minutes max if you get that much time with it. This spirit that we connected with on this first floor stayed with us for a good 20 to 30 minutes across the whole floor, but it would not leave that floor. I was asking if it would leave multiple times. I would ask it if it would come to the second floor, and it always kept saying no. Was asking it if it was, and it was a woman spirit we were talking to, but she wouldn't never say why she couldn't leave, but she just said she couldn't leave. Somebody was keeping her there. Anyways, staying with us this entire time, I finally decided to go up the stairs. And the moment I probably got to the third or fourth step, lost connection with it. I kept saying, I'm going to go up the stairs now. Can you come with me? Kept saying, no, no, no. I got up, about the third, fourth step and lost connection with it after having connection for a good 20 to 30 minutes. The longest I've ever had still. Besides that, I did feel a sensation where I felt like something grabbed my junk.
Oh, really?
I was not there.
Not this time, I know, but it felt a way like it was almost grabbed, like off to the side-ish, almost to where it felt like
Was there some cuppage?
it was almost like someone grabbed and pulled away, grabbed and pulled it.
Okay, okay.
But off to the side, it was just. Everyone's picturing my junk now, aren't they?
Just the left side of it.
So, anyways, but it was like an uncomfortable feeling, but almost felt like maybe my pants had my shorts and boxers shifted or something, and I'm like kind of rearranging it. I'm like, I didn't think much of it, but I just thought that was awkward. Just kept going on with everything.
Yeah.
At the end of the investigation, in this area that we were in, this lady's talking about another investigation that had happened before, where this older guy kept getting his junk grabbed in that same area. She was talking about the area it was in and just talking about this guy getting his junk grabbed and stuff. And then it just kind of dawned on me, that is the exact same place I was in when I was feeling that had happened.
Okay.
But so the guy she was talking about said that happened to him like 2 or 3 times. I only felt that once. But I don't know if that was what had happened, but it was the exact same place, probably this same spirit doing that. But so that all happened on that main floor, on that first floor.
What is it with you and getting fondled on investigation?
That's new. I don't know.
Because like when we were in the cemetery, you totally had your ass grabbed.
Twice.
I was in front of him.
Trying to bridge for the front, but
As he was grabbing the front,
I was like 3 feet away from you.
I was surprised because I'm watching your hands grab my front as my back's getting grabbed.
I might have that on video somewhere.
Kidding. No, you're taking pictures after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
Because right after I felt that first one, I'm telling you what I felt, and as I'm telling you what I've just felt, it happened to both.
cheeks.
And
Butt cheeks.
the best cheeks. But yeah, since then I've been getting fondled more.
Okay.
So here on this floor, I was
Getting fondled once again.
got fondled once again, but on the front. But anyways, that was a pretty cool having that long of a conversation with one spirit on the spirit.
I thought you were going to say it was pretty cool getting fondled. I
It was.
was wondering where you were going with it. That was pretty cool getting fondled. I mean,
And then moving on, I can't remember what happened, if there was anything much on the second floor. I mean, every floor had spirits, tons of spirits. Some didn't want to communicate, some did. We did come across like on the 4th floor, and I believe that floor had some weird shit going on. Before we even got to that floor, we kind of bypassed that one first and went to another floor and came back to that one. But when we passed that one, I was looking at that door, wondering what the fuck happened there, because I could already feel there was a lot of shit going on behind that door.
What do you mean by that?
Just the energy coming off of that. I could
Okay.
feel something wasn't right about it, and there's just not good stuff in there.
Okay.
Later in the investigation, we get back to the 4th floor, and then they start the lady that was leading us and then telling us about everything. She had told us about some kids that broke in there. I don't know how many months of years ago that was, and these kids that broke in ended up getting on that floor. And when they got to that floor, that was the only door going in and out of how you can get on in that floor, pretty much. So they get into that, go through that door, and now they're on the 4th floor. The door closes behind them and will not open. They are freaking out. They can't get out of there. They end up getting they find an axe, and they're chopping that door, trying to chop at the door, but it's a big metal door. So
Like The Shining?
they're trying to, but it's a big metal door, so they're not doing much to it. So they're chopping away at it. They ended up calling authorities, and the cops ended up showing up. When the cops got there, they opened the door up like it was nothing. And, I mean, these kids were trying everything, putting everything into it, trying to get out of there. And they were freaked out. Things were happening to them in there, and they were scared shitless.
Do you know what kind of things?
I can't remember what they said, if they said that anything did happen, but they did talk. She was talking about how freaked out they were from it. But yeah, when the cops did show up, they were able to just open it as if nothing was locked or anything.
How the cops know?
I said they called
They
them
called the cops
on themselves. Yeah, because they couldn't get out. They were freaking out. They were like, "I'll just take a trespassing ticket. I don't give a shit."
Get me out of here.
Isn't there still marks on the door? And
Yes.
you can see where they were hitting it with the axe.
Yeah, so there were still marks on the door on the other side that
So
they showed
did you
us.
investigate this room?
It was the whole floor. It was just the entrance to the floor.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That was so from the stairwell, that was the entrance to get into the 4th floor. So we were going up and down the stairwells from floor to floor, and that's how you got up and down. There were some floors that had another set of stairs all the way across the hall, or down across the floor. But, going back to the 1st floor, where the kitchen, where they held bodies in the fridge.
Okay.
They did ask for volunteers to go in there and close themselves into that fridge.
Did you do it?
I didn't do it. There was a group of, well, before I said anything, I was all about it. I would have, but there was these college kids with me that wanted to stick with me the whole time because I was there by myself, and I pulled up, and this group was already there waiting as well, and they were just like, "You're by yourself," and they started talking to me. This was their first investigation ever. They've never done an investigation before. They had no equipment to investigate with at all. They were just going to walk around. All night long, just walk around. So anyways, they wanted to be
I
my
would
buddy.
not recommend doing that.
Right?
At least take an audio recorder or something with you.
So they decided to just stick with me and be my buddy and use all my equipment.
Okay.
So one of the guys that was in this group decides he wants to go in there. And he goes in there, and he gets pretty freaked out. He said he was feeling his arm getting grabbed. Apparently, there was these spirit kids that like to play in there and mess with people.
Do they know who these kids are?
I think they do, and I can't remember who they are. But so this guy ends up going in there and locking himself in that freezer while everyone's just kind of quiet and listening. And they tell him, let us know when you're ready to come out, and we'll let you out. So we're all just kind of sitting there quiet and everything, and then starts asking to come out of there. When he comes out, he's talking about feeling like he's getting grabbed, getting pretty spooked out, being in there.
In the fridge?
In the fridge, yeah.
How big is this fridge?
It's a walk-in fridge.
Like at a restaurant?
Yeah, just like
Okay.
a normal walk-in fridge from a restaurant.
Okay.
I want to go to there.
There was a lot of crazy shit. Up on the other levels, I would communicate with some spirits here and there, and I was seeing a lot of shit. One thing I did seem to debunk, though, was the kids that played with the bouncy balls that they would roll around on the floor.
Just kind of explain that for the listeners and viewers.
So they say that you can communicate with these kids because there was areas for kids there.
Uh-huh.
And these kids of course, nobody ever left. So
Even if they didn't have TB, right? Because if their parents had
if their parents had it, they're there with their parents.
Yeah.
And when their parents go, they're going to live the rest of their lives there as well.
Oh my gosh.
And so these kids would be living there, and they would be playing. There's areas where kids had play areas. So people would want to try to interact with these spirits of these children, and they'd bring like balls and try to roll them around on the floor and get them to interact with them. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some things have been interacted with where if the ball is just sitting there completely still and then gets like nudged and moved, that I could say is paranormal. But some people are like rolling a ball and then the ball will come rolling back to them and think that that's pretty paranormal there.
They're just playing with them?
Yeah, the spirit's playing with them. Just walking in that room, I could tell right away the floor was completely warped. There was like tiles on the floor. Each tile was like, seemed like each tile was like some type of linoleum tile or something. It was all warped.
Okay, from like weather or
Yeah,
whatever.
just
Okay.
completely worn. So I could see how a ball rolling across slowly could twirl in that and then come back.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. I was kind of rolling things slowly and seeing it like go to one area and then like hit that dip and then move another direction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm like, debunked.
Yeah.
Is there spirits there? Hell yeah, there are. Is everyone interacting with them? Not always. So, like I said, I could see if a ball being completely still, getting nudged and moving from a stopped position, that being pretty paranormal. But the rolling the ball and then having it rolling momentum-wise and still like curving back to you, no, not so much.
That makes sense.
Was there an area of the building that you just got this like really like negative feeling? Like was there a spot where like no one wanted to go, or they would tell you not to go?
There was, well, the body shoot definitely.
You feel
And-
something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's weird is nobody like died there per se, but dead bodies were passing through there. I think it's just because of it being such a dark place that spirits would hang out there, and maybe just a way for spirits to come in and out of that building. Maybe coming through that entranceway, maybe from the wood, because that goes out to the woods.
Why would a spirit, though, want to be in a dark place like that?
What's weird is the way I've kind of heard it from somebody else is that in life you're used to being in a sheltered place,
Like your home?
like a home.
Okay.
You're used to being somewhere and calling a home and it being like a sheltered area. So in death, and depending on if your spirits cross over, depending on the kind of spirit that you're being as at the time, I guess, you might want to be in a dark spot where there's not a lot of activity going on or where you can kind of hide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it is.
But
That,
I guess a sense of shelter, it's a sense of surviving. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but what's weird, is there are spirits
Instinctual.
that wander, like just wandering. But I think they might just wander into like a building eventually. And kind of see, because especially so like another building housing multiple spirits, other spirits might get attracted to that and want to see what's happening up in here.
because also another instinctual feeling is also companionship.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so shelter, companionship, that kind of makes sense.
So it seems like not every spirit that is there at the hospital has died there per se, but has been attracted by the spirits that are already there.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, spirit when they die, they don't necessarily haunt where they died or stick around where they died. They could haunt a place that they're familiar with, like Asylum 49, for example. I know that there was a doctor that was died and buried here in Salt Lake, but haunts the hospital there in Tooele. So it's just a place that was familiar to him. It could have been, and you got to remember, it wasn't always just a tuberculosis hospital. It was also from 1962 to 1981. It was also a geriatric facility where basically you drop off grandma or grandpa. It was like a retirement home, more or less.
Got it.
And it ended up shutting down due to reports of neglect.
Yeah.
So you're not only dealing with these thousands of people that died from tuberculosis, you're also dealing with elderly people that possibly died.
Yeah,
while they
I'm
were
sure
there,
there's
so.
a lot of people
Yeah.
that died in there during that time too.
Did they say to people they think they died?
It's the numbers all over the place.
Yeah, there's-
it's from 6 to 8,000. Some say, I think the owners say they've confirmed like 11,000. Some say 10 to 15,000, and some say 63 to 70,000. So
Yeah, I'm seeing like over 60,000 numbers.
But that's
I-
just a lot. That's a lot of deaths for one building.
Yeah.
even if it was just, and I'm leaning more towards like the 6 to 8,000 range, somewhere in
Sure.
there. That's still a lot
Still
of
a
people.
lot. Yeah.
And there might even be a lot of like John and Jane Does that were unaccounted for.
Oh, that's true too.
That might have never even made it in the books.
Well, and then you have the homeless guy that fell down the other elevator shaft with his dog.
Oh yeah,
I didn't hear about this. What's this story?
you tell that one because I don't remember that one much. I know of it, but I can't remember the story to tell it.
Being that it's out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, as with like most abandoned places,
Yeah.
it kind of becomes a place for,
Squatters.
yeah, pretty much. And the rumor is that this guy was like walking through, and obviously he did fall down the elevator shaft, and so did his dog.
Jeez.
But one of the podcasts I was listening to, they said it doesn't make sense that the dog would fall too. Like the guy, yeah, he's walking.
Unless
he
he's
accidentally
holding
falls.
a leash.
Unless he's holding the leash, but one of the theories is that he was actually pushed, and that his dog was thrown down behind him.
Interesting.
And this podcaster, they actually said that they heard the dog whimper several times throughout the night
When they were investigating?
When they were investigating,
Dog
yeah.
would
So here's the thing. I've heard other things where people talk about, oh, they can smell breakfast, like cooking in the morning.
the fresh bread.
Yeah, they can
coming from the
smell
kitchen.
these things. So this hospital was in the middle of nowhere. Not so much anymore.
kind of built near it now.
There's homes actually along the path going up to the hospital now.
Oh.
So as you're driving, it's a creepy little path that goes to the hospital. Driving through that at night, it's creepy as shit.
Because you went there like at midnight, right?
Yeah, it's late. We go there after it's already dark.
Okay.
And so you're driving up that little it's all wooded. It's a wooded area, and it's just like complete. It almost at night it looks like it's just like thick trees. It's almost like hill on one side and like thick trees on another. Looks like lights in between some of the trees as you drive up. In the light, you can see the lights. What those lights are, they're homes. Mm-hmm. So there's homes along that coming up to the hospital. So what do people do in the morning? They cook breakfast in their homes. So people investigating the hospital saying that, oh, it smells like someone's cooking breakfast. Yeah, at their house right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but let's say you're smelling that like at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, they say they smell that like in the
when they're leaving.
yeah, when they're leaving.
When they're leaving,
investigation.
okay, yeah, that's
Or like yeah, they'll smell like oh, they're cooking breakfast and still like the spirits are cooking breakfast.
yeah. I heard in the kitchen they said that they would smell like freshly baked bread, but that makes total sense, like you said,
There's
with all the
homes
houses
right
right there.
So if
But it would
someone's
be a
hearing
little
it-
bit different. Like if when they say that they're smelling it on the way out, yeah, I would go with what you're saying.
And
but if you're
like
smelling it like 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when I would be like, okay, what's really going on? Is someone really
baked
up
bread.
somebody
baking bread
wakes
at 1
up.
in the morning?
They could.
I mean, I would, but not bread. I'd be baking something else.
Yourself.
Brownies,
But the
chicken.
dog whimpering, like you were saying, I could see that being a dog at one of these houses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would debunk a lot of that just based off being that there's contaminated noises and smells coming from these other places close
I also
by.
kind of imagine this being kind of secluded, but it's not then. Okay.
So it used to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Got it.
It has since grown in areas and things are all around.
Guess you're not
now.
so worried about TB anymore, right? I guess.
Yeah, that's not a thing no more.
Nope. I mean, that's kind of how I pictured like the Winchester house, just out in the middle of nowhere, but it's right in the middle of the busy city. Like there's roads that go right next to it and everything.
Well, same
there's
with
a
like
movie theater next to it.
the ruins. Oh God, I can't think which ones. But the one where they're
Stonehenge?
Stonehenge, yeah. One where there's two slabs and one on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stonehenge.
Yeah, I guess there's a freeway that just runs right near it.
Yeah.
But I guess it's you think it's secluded, but there's a freeway right along the side of it. Or the pyramids. The pyramids, you can get out in the middle of the desert, nowhere. No, there's a big city right next to the pyramids. That's interesting.
So yeah, this used to be out in the middle of nowhere, but yeah, not so much. So I could see a lot of things being debunked, but there is still a shit ton of ghosts there. Like you don't need to say all these. I don't know. Some people like reach too far for things, and that's just one of those things that just seemed. Yeah, you don't need. Yeah, it's just too much.
They want the paranormal to happen.
Yes, just like I saw, like some people that are new into it, they take tons of pictures, and every picture that has some type of dust specks is like
Orbs.
What are these guys? This is only this one picture, and it's like that's a ton of dust.
Especially an old building like that, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of dust.
Oh, and one thing they didn't like doing for us to do was take flash photography. They were worried about, I don't know what they were worried about with the flash photography, but they're like, you get better pictures in the dark if you take better like dark pictures and then try to zoom in on things and you can see things more in the dark. No, you don't see shit in the dark.
No,
it's pitch black.
yeah.
And so your pictures are just pitch black.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
That just seems retarded.
Yeah, so I took a few pictures with flash. But
One something that my friend or our friend Jimmy taught me was when you're doing recording on your phone, have the flashlight on. So you usually have a constant source of light, and then you can take stills in the video, and that way you're not worried about light reflecting off of things because it's already there in the.
right.
It's not your flash is like
Double
like
flash where it does that. Yeah, bang bang.
or it's not like reflecting off of stuff because it's already lit up,
Right.
and so you're just taking a picture. It actually works pretty well doing it that way.
Yeah, I would like to do Waverly Hills again and just rent the whole place out.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
So-
another thing, and maybe it's also the creeper, but they see like this shadow person like crawling on the walls, crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the creeper.
Okay.
That's like going across the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything on the ceiling. Everything I saw was on the floor.
Well, yeah, you saw down the chute. Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes sense. It's probably it's not going to stay in one place or one floor or one hallway the whole time.
And it could be multiple things. It couldn't be just one.
Oh, yeah,
it could
that's
be
true,
multiple
too.
of the same thing. Because
People claim room 502 is really haunted.
I think that's the one where the lady hung herself, right?
Yeah, and then there was another one that apparently committed suicide by jumping out the window.
Right. Yeah.
The one that hung herself, I guess her name is Mary. And there was a rumor that I don't know if they've been able to confirm this or not, but Mary apparently was having an affair with one of the doctors,
Right.
got pregnant,
Oh, yeah.
and there was some sort of like botched abortion, and they hung her to cover up they killed her during the abortion.
Right. They said, then try to cover it up with a suicide. But I want to say the spirit that we were talking to on the first floor was her.
Why? Just a feeling you get?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's possible.
And why do you think she couldn't move up to the second floor?
It sounded like she was being like there was something on the first floor that was really negative that was in charge.
Maybe the creeper.
Well, and that would make sense
Could
to
have
me when you're saying that the Ghost Meter Pro went for like a half hour straight.
20 to 30 minutes.
So in my experience with the Ghost Meter Pro, the only time I've got it to stay lit that long is when I'm talking to a negative entity. Or there's one nearby feeding it the energy. Because like a normal human spirit usually doesn't have the energy to hold it that long.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because usually you get a few questions and it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it comes back again. You get a few questions and it's gone again.
So like I can remember one time specifically, actually the investigation we talked about a couple weeks ago where I said I had a beer before I went.
Yeah.
That house was actually the first time that I saw the Ghost Meter Pro. It was a good half hour, 40 minutes, something like that. But
Okay.
it just stayed connected. And I think we ended up just turning it off. But it was, I think this is going to be the first bell use of this episode, but I ended up Marco Poloing Brandy.
The bell is in action.
To ask her if what was in the house. So I just Marco Polo kind of walked around, and she was actually able to confirm that there was a negative entity in the home. So, like I said, my experience with that particular device, it only stays that lit up if you're talking to something of a more negative nature, usually inhuman.
Just clarify, because you're not walking around going Marco and Brandon's saying Polo, right?
Oh no! So yeah, Marco Polo is an app, kind of I guess like it's like a video walkie-talkie, I guess.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like you just take video, and it sends it to the other person. They watch it, and then they can respond.
It's like Snapchat, but without the stories.
I've never used Snapchat, so sure.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like Snapchat without stories.
The creeper that you think you saw down the chute, did you get any vibes from it, like negative, positive?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Okay.
Like, it didn't seem friendly at all.
I guess darting at you wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that wasn't very cool of it, right?
Yeah. Lunging at you.
Like
Did you
it
get
was.
any
It was.
EVPs while you were there?
I wasn't recording,
Oh, okay.
but the way it was moving, it seemed to try to intimidate. So,
how close was it when like how close did it end up getting? You said about a third way down the chute when you saw it.
Yeah.
How close did it get?
it was about maybe halfway.
Oh, okay.
About halfway at that, like, because like I would see it come up and down, and it seemed like it made it to about halfway up the chute when it seemed to lunge forward, and I like shoot back because I feel like this thing's gonna start coming at us, and of course I freak out for a quick second, and like nothing happens. I'm like, I feel like an idiot for a quick sec, and then nobody saw that. Okay. What else was going on there?
Anything we haven't touched on that's like a common story of the sanatorium?
Little Timmy.
That's the ball, right?
I
Yeah,
think that has to
that's-
do with
that's
the
with
rolling the ball. Yeah. And that's what, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that whole thing. If anything, like I said, it would need to be stationary. I remember trying to do that where I would leave it alone and ask it to do something.
Was the whole full floor in that room just terrible?
Where that room, yeah, there was a lot of other places that had floor like that where, yeah, it was all warped and shit, just really weathered.
Okay.
So I did hear, I don't know how much into this it's actually going through, but I did hear that somebody was going to start turning this into a bed and breakfast.
Yeah, so what is it now?
It's just still like
Abandoned?
abandoned, but there's like a gift shop in there, and
Okay.
they have because it is a historical site.
Is it a haunted house during the holidays?
Yes,
Or around
so during
Halloween?
Halloween, it is a haunted house, and it's
Okay.
huge during that time.
I
Tons of
can
people
see,
coming in
yeah.
there. They do have a whole section where they leave the props up on that main level, and
Okay.
on that level where they have some of the props, they don't normally let the tour go through some of that. The tour guide liked us a lot, so she let us
Just so
go
people
back
don't
there.
steal it or damage the stuff?
I think so.
Okay.
I think just they don't want people doing dumb stuff. But there was some, so we started getting some activity back in those areas because it seemed like those areas were left alone more.
So they kind of migrate over there.
Yeah, so we were getting some cool interactions and some of that. I don't remember exactly the interactions we were getting because it seemed like forever ago now. It seemed like so long ago. But that was, let's see, that it was towards the end of the tour where she let us go back in that whole area and start investigating all that. We ended up investigating all night till the sun came up.
Oh, wow.
Those are some of the funnest investigations I've been on.
And then that's when I realized how close some of these houses were to this place.
Got it.
And that's when I was like, I could see how I could smell breakfast.
That makes sense.
Was it as creepy going down as it was coming up?
No. Once the sun was like lighting things up, wasn't as spooky. No,
Did it change the feeling of the whole venue, or just kind of like the drive?
just the drive.
Okay.
The venue itself is still like leaving that. You just looking back at it, you just know how many spirits are still just hanging out there.
That's crazy.
All right. Well,
Kind of sad.
I think I'll quit my job so I have some free time, and then we'll all go out to Kentucky.
There we go.
We'll hit up Waverly and then drive like an hour north and hit up Bobby Mackey's.
I would like to go to Bobby Mackey's too. It
That'd
doesn't
be
look like
awesome.
there's a lot to investigate there, though, huh?
It's just like a little bar.
It's just a bar, like a big wide open bar, and then like a little crawl space area,
Where's the well? Isn't there a
in the
well?
crawl space area,
Okay.
like under the building, right?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't actually been there, but I do know that our friends over at Bear River Paranormal have been there. They have not talked about it yet on their podcast, but I'm kind of waiting for that one because I want to hear what their
How long ago
experiences
did
are.
they go there?
I think it was just not last year, but I think the year before. So I think the same time you went.
Oh,
So
wow.
2019, somewhere in there. Because obviously no one was like going to investigating stuff last year during COVID.
You know
So I
what
think it
was-
was 2019.
The coolest thing about, besides Waverly Hills going out there, it was the Kentucky Derby weekend. The 45th anniversary, or 45th annual Kentucky Derby. That was dope as shit.
That'd be cool.
I ended up going to it because I was there.
Coincidentally, right?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I just, like, on the plane, I'm seeing everybody with the luggage they were carrying were for their stupid ass hats. These women
Yeah.
with these stupid hats. and then I get off the plane and there was like big bands playing in the airport.
With
you know.
banjos? I don't know.
Not
I
like
picture banjos,
but no, they were like
Alright.
playing music and like doing their shit. And then there were like replica horses, big horses with stuff on it draped around its neck, like statues you
Flowers.
could take pictures of. And then it all started dawning on me, like, how close is it to the Kentucky Derby? And like, it's this weekend. I'm like, oh shit!
I'm gonna watch some horses run.
It was pretty cool though. I did check it out. It was pretty dope.
Nice. We cover everything?
Yeah,
for the
everything
most
from my own personal experience.
Okay.
I mean, went over some basic history and then talked about me and my shit. The best.
Well, that's the
best
more
of it all.
interesting part, though. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the history, but it's more fun to hear personal experiences.
I think so,
Yeah.
and I think I should go investigate some more shit while I'm on this little tour of the country.
Yeah, but you got a 2.5 day drive.
We're like 2 weeks away here from the barbecue.
Benson Grist Mill.
Benson Grist Mill.
Oh, and speaking of Benson Grist Mill, I'll probably talk about this when we talk about it. That was another place that I had an experience with the ghost meter with a long talk
Okay.
with somebody.
Is that
Alright.
the barn?
Outside the barn, but it was in the other building next to the barn. It was. I'll talk about it all then.
Okay.
But yeah, that was another cool experience where I actually did a cool test with the Ghost Meter Pro to test the legitness of it, and it was spot on. So that's what made me realize, when it's not giving right answers, it's just the spirits being dicks.
Okay.
But you know what? Ghosts, you don't play that. Not at all.
Peace out, butterflies.
Adios, amigos.
This is the EVP Podcast.